Hey guys, so I got a Stella doll here from AliExpress, and here she is with half her head shaved off. I'm going to be giving her a side shave and also some highlights. So don't worry, I didn't throw away her hair. Actually, I glued it nicely and then I separated them into little strands, so I would use that to fill up the plugs here, and I will use the remainder of the hair to root into other dolls. So I'm just gonna give her hairline some green highlights. As you can see, they are mint green and they are harvested from Zoe, the green girl. One thing I really like about giving the doll a side shave is that this is the amount of hair that I'm gonna get. See what I've done? I have separated them into different groups. This is the hair from the outside, which is a lighter pink, and this is the hair from the inside, and I've separated some strands into thicker strands for part lines and thinner strands for hairlines, and that's how I have so much different colored hair to reroot my dolls in, like partial reroots. They're like just sharing their colors around, and I think that's a nice idea. Sometimes I do buy a whole lot of doll hair if I really like the idea, but other times I have this and then I label them, so that's why I have hair that is mint green for her highlights. Before I flock her shaved off side, I'm gonna fill up all these empty parts so that you don't see her scalp with this thick strands of hair, and I'm gonna be rerouting them with a tagging gun and a big needle to widen the holes. So it's actually a very simple process of rerouting, which I take this big needle, I just poke a hole nearby, make sure that sits in for a while. While I'm letting it sit in, I take this tagging gun. This is actually used to tag swing tags and price tags when you go to the shops, and so I think you can get a tagging gun from any art shop. And then I take one of this hair that I have put some glue here. Usually I glue a whole chain of them together, and then I will separate them into whatever thickness I need. So if I separate something that is thicker, I will usually use that thick amount to do part lines or thicker lines like this to cover up everything. You can use this for doing part lines, and I've done it in my other videos. So if you look at the tagging gun, it actually has a little groove in here. I slip that into the groove. See, when you pull the trigger, it's gonna push that out. Right, so I will put it in, and I'm not gonna pull the trigger yet. I'm only gonna put the hair in first, or I'm gonna put the needle in. Now that the hole is quite wide, I put the needle in very gently, and then as I go in, I just pull the trigger, and there your hair is planted inside, nice and secure. Of course, you don't pull it out instantly, because what's going to happen is actually the hair may just slip out, so we're gonna let the vinyl settle in for a bit. But I don't think that strand is thick enough to cover it, and I don't want too many holes because I don't want the scalp to split. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put another one into the same hole, and maybe even a third one into the same hole before I not touch that hole anymore. So there it is. Okay, and also you can think about the placement of your highlights. So you want them thicker, and then maybe not so thick, and then maybe just a whole chunk of pink. I think this needs a little bit more, just to make sure you don't see any gaps. Okay, but as you can see, the holes that I've done are quite spaced out, so you wouldn't have a scalp split, but at the same time I put a thick amount of hair there so that it will not what do you call it? It will not have a scalp split, because if the whole scalp was to split down here, it's gonna be very difficult to repair. So right now I leave a little bit of a gap, and I choose the next hole around here, and I poke that in. Yeah, just be very careful, because you know, you don't want your hand here and then poking it in fast and then hurting you down here. So you know, try to, I know I didn't do a very good example, but I did it very slowly. So you know, try to place it on a towel, push it slowly, and you know, the chances of the needle coming out from this hole is not big, but you don't want a freak accident like that. So now I'm going to take some of Zoe's highlights, which are supposed to be quite thick, and I'm gonna use this to place down here as her mint green highlights, and I think she will look really cute after this. Sometimes it's so these are hair that are like too short to use for rerooting and anything, and I would usually use a razor, and I will just kind of turn it on and, you know, slice up the hair into tiny bits until they become like tiny little things like that, which I can use to flock the doll's hair. So yep, as you can see, this is what happens when you use a razor to the hair, and it gets into smaller and smaller pieces, and make sure you get it as tiny and fine as possible. As you can see right now, I have chopped it up into every direction possible, and I think this makes it very fine and short and like powder. So the last time I gave bangs to Stella, I kept the remaining bits where it was short, and I have now shaved it mostly into fine dust, which will be my flocking powder for her main side shave. Now here are my 2 packets of flocking powder, which is actually hair that I should have thrown away. So here I'm gonna show you how I do her flocking, and I'm using epoxy, but I'm using the slow setting epoxy. Yeah, because I want it to, it's not that I want to take a long time to do it, but I really want to take my time to do it so that I wouldn't have to rush through the process, and you know, I can spread a nice, very nice thin layer of the flocking over her head. And I'm gonna have to do this 3 times to make sure that the flocking is thick enough and you know, doesn't look bumpy or lumpy or too transparent. So what I've done is, here I've mixed the epoxy together, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to follow whatever I have drawn here, and this part is gonna be the light blue flocking from Zoe, and the rest of it will be the purple. So let me take a cotton stick, and then this is why you need it to set very slowly. This takes 9 hours to harden, so that's good for me, because prior to this I did one doll before who had flocking that was way too thick, and it was not because I put too much flocking, but it was because the epoxy layer was not thin, and it did not look elegant at all, and I ended up, like, you know, using a file to file it away. That was very difficult work. So I just use this now and make sure that the layer I spread is extremely thin, very thin layer that does not even, you know, does not even look thick at all. Yeah, just, what do we call this, like spreading butter. So as you can see now, the layer is so thin, it's very thin, it barely even raised up anything at all. And now I'm going to take the packet of flocking from Zoe, gonna move my epoxy away, and I'm going to pour it all over this flocking, or all over this sticky part. Just pour it very liberally. And don't worry, it's only gonna be on this part of her hair. And then I'm gonna just spread it this way. Make sure every bit of it has the flocking. So here it is. Touch it very lightly. And then clear away everything else. Yep, it's gonna kind of look like this. Not very nice at first. And some of it is, sticking up because some of the hair caught it, but we can always shave this away later. And pour more. So right now, this is what it kind of looks like. Not very nice because some of the hair was raised, as you can see. So I'm just going to take a scissors and trim that out when it's dry. It's not really a big deal. Yeah. So this is what the first layer looks like, which is very unimpressive. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put more epoxy all over her head. And then of course I'll repeat this 3 times. So what I've done now is I've spread another thin layer over the parts that I haven't covered yet, and that is going to be pink. I'm going to use the pink flocking for this part. And the layer I have spread over is extremely thin again. So it's not going to look like much now, but once you've layered it over 3 times, it really will be quite beautiful. Just pour as much of the flocking powder as you can. Don't worry, finish it all. And tap off the excess and pour it over again. So it's going to be something like that. But then, as you layer more and more over, it's going to look much better. I'll do it 3 times and show it to you. So after the second round, this is what it looks like. It's a little bit more defined, but this time I think for the 3rd time I'm going to only lay the purple or the pink, and then I will wait for it to completely dry, and then I will lay the blue tracks on, and then I think it will be much more defined. But it's already much better, and yeah, as you can see, it's actually purple flocking, but I think a little bit darker matches, with pink hair. I don't have pink hair to make flocking, and so I have kind of mixed the epoxy already, and then I'm going to lay on the 3rd layer. So as you can see, this is the 3rd time for the pink section, and it's a little bit thicker. I'm going to wait 9 hours for it to dry, and then I'll fill in that blue sections, and hopefully it will be much more defined than it looks like now. But it's already looking much better. So here's after 9 hours, the pink side has dried, and I'm gonna pour the last bit of light blue onto the stripes that I have just put epoxy on, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's completely dry. And I just leave that thick coat of blue over this section that I have put epoxy on, and then hope for it to kind of settle before I kind of nuke it all away. So here's her side shave after waiting for all the 3 layers to completely dry, and I think it's very pretty and it matches with her new hair color and everything, and I'm going to give her something nice to wear. So here she is with her hair in waves and an outfit for her. So, you know, I gave her this typical rainbow high earrings and a jacket from Kim. This is Stella's own top. And of course, she's wearing Skylar's blue jeans. This is series 1, so it's like back to basics again. And yeah, this is her shoes. These belong to Stella, so nothing new, nothing much new. I'll just show you what she looks like. She's really pretty and I really am quite happy with her. These are the eyes that are from Kim. I did a video of Kim, I think, quite a while back, and I just saved her eyes. So yeah, here she is. Here is her hair. I really like it very much. And I just had to do it. I had to dress her in all pink with some light blue shoes to kind of match that look. And yes, icy blue eyes, and then she has like a little pink in the eyes to match the eyeshadow and the hair color and everything. So this is kind of like if Galinda was funky kind of look. Yeah, if she was like a cool girl kind of look. So, you know, she's kind of like from a royal family, and then she's like cool, and she's like, whenever I see someone less fortunate than I, let me know what you think of her in the comments. And I'm holding her with one hand, and then I have, you know, one hand to hold the camera. But I really like her. She really looks like she's from the royal family, but she's a bit of a rebel. I didn't bother putting in a earring in this side of her ear because you know, it's just gonna be hidden. But yeah, so she is my version of like a, I don't know, like Barbie Rock and Royals kind of thing. But let me know what you think of her. Let me know if you would give your doll, I gotta keep flicking this out of her face. Let me know in the comments if you would give your doll a side shave like her. And let me know if you like her, or if I should have done anything differently. Let me know what you think. But I really am happy, and I'm very happy to hold her in my hands like that. Thank you so much if you have watched till this part of the video, and I hope you enjoy customizing as well. Thank you.